Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If I can have your attention, please, we would like to begin. We'll turn all the lights off again, but we would like to begin. Thank you. Thank you very much. So good morning. It's cold, it's snowy, it's windy. It must be time for the state of our city in Elmhurst, Illinois. My name's Ken Bartels. I'm a director and senior vice president here at Community Bank of Elmhurst, and we are delighted to be hosting this event for the 25th year as the community bank. This event itself is in its 27th year, and we partner with the Chamber and the city. There are a number of displays and information that you can take advantage of, a new slideshow, so we welcome you to this state of our city. And also the start of the 25th anniversary year of John Quigley as president and CEO of the Elmhurst Chamber. Sure, that's applause worthy, absolutely. So whether you're actually in the room, which is a great turnout, or if you're streaming with us online, welcome. And I would ask that you all please rise for our nation's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So let's begin. It's now time for me to introduce to you a civic leader and business executive in Elmhurst, Rich Reichert, President and CEO of the Community Bank of Elmhurst. Rich?
Thank you and welcome on behalf of the employees and directors of Community Bank of Elmhurst this morning. As Ken mentioned, this is the 25th straight year we've had this event here. A few years ago, we had to do it without any audience other than a friendly audience of city employees for Mayor Morley several years ago. That was Mayor Morley, wasn't it? Yes. It's hard to remember back that far. My suit actually fit 25 years ago, so I'm going to unbutton it. This past year, we celebrated 30 years of serving our customers and our community, and there's another great organization in town that's also celebrating 30 years. The Elmhurst Children's Assistance Foundation will celebrate 30 years at a gala on March 2nd at River Forest Country Club. I would encourage you to go to ecapforkids.org to sign up for that. That'll be a really great event. I want to thank everybody in this room who volunteers in our community or serves in this community somehow, whether it's on a commission, a nonprofit, whether you serve as a healthcare worker, a police officer, a firefighter. I want to thank you all, and in a second we're going to give all those folks a round of applause, but I want to call out one. Finally, somebody from the York class of 1982 really made it. Dick Dufort got named our fire chief this year. You make us all proud, Dick, and thank you to all that serve our community. I also want to thank Fresh Start Cafe for providing breakfast this morning for the 25th straight year. Lastly, I want to thank our employees who, this just gets set up on autopilot. There's a lot going on here you may not even realize, but it's a big endeavor, and one more round of our applause for our employees, please. So on February 2nd, there is going to be a roast of John Quigley by the four most recent mayors of Elmhurst right next door at the Elmhurst American Legion post. That's a 7 o'clock event. Actually, the doors open at 6:30, February 2nd, and on your table, There's a flyer to advertise that, and there's a QR code. Everybody knows that QR stands for Quigley Roast, right? QR code? So there's a QR code right there. You can register while you're listening to Mayor Levin go on and on, right? He won't even know you're doing that. But that'll be a lot of fun. And in addition to the four mayors, Ken Bartels, our MC this morning, will roast John, as will Dee Longfellow from the Elmhurst Independent, and from the Elmhurst American Legion, John Scudder and Bill Shanklin will do a tag team roast of John. It's not to be missed. We all love to make fun of John behind his back. This time we get to do it right to his face. And on that note, I would like to introduce the president and CEO of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry since 1999, John Quigley.
Wow, how do you follow that? Good morning, and thanks to all of you for being a part of our Chamber's annual State of Our City Mayoral Address Membership Breakfast. I also want to give special thanks to our friends here at Community Bank of Elmhurst. They have participated with us for a quarter century to provide this Hammersmith Community Room as the venue, and, as importantly, they pick up the check for the breakfast. Yes. Go ahead, applaud that, yeah. You're all eating and drinking for free, so don't, because I know you wouldn't pay to hear a mayor speak. But you will pay to hear a mayor speak about me. Come March, our chamber will celebrate the accomplishments of 2023 at the 105th Annual ECCI Awards Gala. At that time, we will recognize a group of extraordinary businesses and individuals whose names I will make public in this format for the first time this morning. Allen Heating Air Conditioning will be recognized as the A.J. Tachi-Taronis Business of the Year for 2023. Endeavor Health's Colin DeLau will receive the Chairman's Award. Eva Sanchez of See Your House Right Here at Properties Elmhurst is the first repeat Ambassador of the Year, and Dan Gibbons of the Dan Gibbons Turkey Trot Foundation will become our 34th inductee into the ECCI Civic Hall of Fame. I ask the honorees who are here in the room today to stand and be recognized. In case you couldn't tell, Eva was standing. Last week, don't worry, they'll give me back on February 2nd. Last week, some 19,800 copies of the 2024 Elmhurst Community Directory were every door direct mail delivered to residents, businesses, and post office boxes across our city, and an additional 1,000 will be hand delivered through our new resident greeter tote program. The publication features a community information section, a buyer's guide, and an alphabetical member list, along with display advertising. Copies are available at both your tables and at the registration table downstairs if you would need more. For the 5th year in a row, the community directory also is accessible via an online pageable version link on the homepage of our chamber's website at elmhurstchamber.org. I strongly encourage any business not listed in the annual community directory and on our chamber's website membership database to join or reactivate as a member. Our website and directory are two of the most cost-effective ways to enhance a business's consumer marketing, not to mention the third-party endorsement benefit that all of our members enjoy. Yesterday, for example, I Googled Community Bank of Elmhurst and found that the bank's Chamber Master member page listing on our website ranked 4th in their search results. A typical chamber member generates an average of 500 website visitor exposures through a combination of member page views, business category search results, and other search results. In the past 12 months, Community Bank's 2 branches combined for 774 member page views, 1,102 business category search results, and 1,037 other search results. Open to all members and non-members alike, our new Resident Greeter Tote program caters to businesses and organizations wanting to better connect with the residents new to our community. Filled with goodies from participating members, the Greeter Tote is hand-delivered to some 800 up to 1,000 new residents on an annual basis. Each of you here today know and regularly patronize businesses that are not members, and I implore you to be proactive and encourage them to join our chamber by sharing with them how your businesses benefit. You can bring them to one of our monthly networking events, or you can facilitate a meeting with our new Director of Member Services coming on officially February 1, entrepreneur, business consultant, and Elmhurst Alderwoman, Jennifer Veremis. Jennifer, please stand up. Jennifer has been doing contracted membership work for us since last September, and we're happy to bring her on board full-time. We had lost our full-time membership person at the end of last March, but Jennifer helped us get through the end of the year in strong fashion, and we expect 2024 will be a great year with her doing membership for us. As was mentioned, today marks my 25th year of delivering a State of Our Chamber address at this event, and I plan to step aside no later than the end of 2025. During my tenure, we have played a vital role in the city's economic life by endorsing public education referendums that have rebuilt our schools, by supporting tax increment financing districts that have revitalized underperforming business zones, by sanctioning public-private development partnerships that have leveraged uses in our landlocked community, by recommending small business incentives to assist entrepreneurs investing in our community with their resources, and so much more we've been able to do. Thanks to our work, Elmhurst commercial and residential property values remain high. Thanks to our work, vacancy rates are almost non-existent because businesses want to invest in our community. Thanks to our work, families from all across Chicagoland want to relocate here. If you don't believe chambers are essential, just look at Elmhurst's neighboring communities: Addison, Bensonville, Berkeley, Hillside, Northlake, Oak Brook Terrace, and Villa Park. Most operate without a full-time executive, and just recently, Addison's chambers closed their doors. You tell me, where would you rather live, work, and do business? I'm guessing it's Elmhurst. Pending my retirement, the Elmhurst Armpit Orchestra is staging the mayoral roast we talked about on February 2nd. Mayor Scott Levin and former Mayor Steve Morley, Pete DeCiani, and Tom Marcucci, all of whom are in the room today, former mayors, please stand up. They will be among the featured roasters, and the cost is only $25 to attend. If I were you and I had the choice, I'd just mail a check to the Legion for $50 and enjoy the night at home. That shouldn't have been that funny. To those members who have remained loyal to our chamber during the most challenging of the times I've served, the terrorist attacks of 9/11 in 2001, the Great Recession running from 2007 through 2009, and the coronavirus pandemic that started back in 2020. I thank you for that steadfast support. Enjoy a great 2024. Thank you. And now it's my honor to introduce the chairman of the board of directors of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry from Endeavor Health. Would you welcome Colin DeLau? Colin.
John, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here. As you guys mentioned, my name is Colin DeLau. Excuse me, I'm the chairman of the board of directors for the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We at Endeavor Health and Elmhurst Hospital have been long-standing members, and we believe in the mission of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce, which is strengthening our community through partnerships. I have to admit, when I woke up this morning, I was a little downtrodden. It was a little, rainy outside, or snowy outside, and it's gray. We've had 7 straight days of additional snow on the ground, and temperatures below zero, and didn't find the motivation to get going. And somehow I made it, slightly late, but I was here. And I got in the room though, and I saw all of you, and I saw the standing room, and I saw friends, I saw colleagues, people that I've partnered up, people that in the hospital we have partnered with, and I'm feeling great. And I'm looking forward to 2024 with you, because I know that all of you show up at events like this, show up for the community of Elmhurst, and because of that, we're stronger. So thank you for your partnership, thank you for being here, and thank you for making 2024 a successful year. We are really looking forward to the great things to come. Thank you very much.
I would echo those remarks. This is an impressive attendance, and thank you all again for being here. For his State of the City address, it is my privilege to introduce to you our elected leader, the Mayor of Elmhurst, the Honorable Scott Levin.
Well, good morning. I always sleep well the night before our State of the City address. Mayor Mayoral said, "How'd you sleep last night?" I go, "You have that dream about that test you're about to take, and you either forgot to study or you never went to the class." And then I looked at the internet and I saw an email link from Joe Piscatelli, our camera guy here, saying it was that the link was already up. I thought, did I already do the State of the City address? Anyway, I wish I could have started with one of those below zero jokes and how hardy we are, but the hottest topic these days is artificial intelligence. So I went on ChatGPT-5 and I said, give me a joke, because could artificial intelligence for some mayors take the place of the mayor itself? And I thought, and there's an example of artificial intelligence. So I said, I need a joke to start this out. Write me a joke for, a State of the City address. And so it writes, "Why did the bicycle fall over at City Hall? It was too tired from navigating city traffic. Now let's really get down to business." So if that's the best joke that AI can write, I feel confident that I will not have to face a tough AI opponent coming up. So I want to thank the Chamber and the Community Bank of Elmhurst. Rich Reichert has become a good friend. George Hammersmith Quigley says that they're going to pay to listen to the roast of him and not this. I think you all paid with a commercial announcement from the Chamber that was extensive, so thank you for that, for our commercial sponsor, the Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome, we've already welcomed former Mayors Morley, Marcucci, and DeCiani, who are all here. I appreciate the support. I can't do my usual joke of calling you out and then you guys not being present, as been the case in past years, so thank you very much. And in particular, I want to welcome, we have State Representative Jen Laddish Douglas here. You can raise your hand if you like. I'm not going to do it individually because I know I'm going to leave out some important people, but I'll ask our school board members to stand. I think we have a few here. Mr. Collins, thank you. All right. And we have some park board members, perhaps. There we go. Thank you very much. President Graff was there last night. I was drinking a cup of coffee at 8 o'clock, which was a big mistake, but thank you for coming out. We have some county board representatives here. Thank you. And I think that's where I'll figure out who I left out later. I usually introduce the staff. I'm not going to introduce all the staff today, but I will say two things. One is the years have gone on, I've been involved around the city council since 2010. I'm always surprised, or I shouldn't be, that when there's a turnover in staff, the people who replace the people who have left turn out to be just as good or better. We have a remarkable staff. And Mike Kopp, who was our longtime assistant city manager, 39 years and 51 weeks, because as he said, 40 years is too long, retired. It's hard to replace anyone, but we have Kent Johnson was newly appointed as our assistant city manager, who was approved by the council. Kent, are you here? Welcome. All right, so let's get into a little bit of substance. You know, one of the things I wanted to talk about is the fact that we are a city of planners. And when I talk a little bit about some of the other agencies, you'll see what I mean. But every 5 years or so, we get together and we meet, and we have a whole process about trying to figure out where we're going. And planning is really important for any organization, whether it's business or a public entity. So we start with a process where we invite residents. There are some nominated by each alderman. We have open comment from the residents. We talk to the business community, to the other agencies and town government and agencies. We interview all of our boards and commissions, and we interview our staff. And then finally, we will meet as I think we did it each year is like a four-hour session on Friday night, and another 6 hours on Saturday for the city council and staff to get together and really hash out what's important to us. One of the things we do in there is I have a slide that's kind of interesting because it describes some of the words that are, and they're right up there. I can't read them from here, but these are words that the city council and others were asked to say. If you were asked to describe Elmhurst in one word, what would it be? And those are some of the words that you're seeing, and I think you'll agree that those words pretty accurately describe just what this city's all about. And there's a lot to be proud of this in this city. And as a result of this long process and working with our consultants, we come up with a plan, and we have a slide that will show what our goals are. So we have short-term routine, short-term complex, long-term routine, and long-term complex goals. And these were selected from a number of goals. And as I go through the presentation this morning, you'll see that we pay attention to this process, and we're well down the road to achieving a lot of the goals that we've set out to accomplish. And I say this is our 5-year plan, but as we've already gone 2 years into it, we're substantially down the road towards achieving these goals. So let's start out and talk a little bit about finances. I'm proud to say the city passed a flat property tax levy in 2023, which means no increase. And so when you get your tax bill in 2024, you'll see that if your property value stayed the same or decreased, you might see a decrease in the property taxes that you pay to the city. The city, it's important to note, our portion of the property tax bill is only about 7%. The schools are about 85%. That's the only source of revenue for the schools, but we have the opportunity to have sales tax, transfer taxes, and other taxes. Now you may say, well, our tax bill seems to go up. The only part of the city's bill that goes up are the police and fire pensions, which are set by the state legislature, and we simply have to increase our taxes to meet what the state legislature has dictated for us. But we have been mindful of the property tax, the impact on our residents, and for many years, I don't think we've probably been flat since about 2010. So we've been very good stewards of the dollar. We've had very strong performance in our state and home rule sales tax. Our revenues are up about 6% over 2022, and our for state and our home rule is up by about 7%, and that meets one of our strategic goals of looking at other sources of revenue. With the higher interest rates, for those of you who are in the real estate business, you've probably seen a little bit of cooling off. Our real estate transfer tax was at $700,000 for 2023. It had been $1 million in 2022. But from looking at industry statistics and from talking to other mayors, Elmhurst has been a very stable and strong real estate market. It's very desirable. If you see the construction that's going on around town, you'll see that this is a good investment in Elmhurst real estate. So in our 2024 budget, we're going to maintain the same level of service to our residents. We've continued to maintain a 25% cash reserve, and that's there. In other news in our finance department is we have a new computer system, the Enterprise Resource Planning. I always have to look at what ERP stands for, system, and you may have seen a little different look on your water bills. Pretty soon you'll be able to apply for permits and licenses online. So that was a great undertaking by our finance department. In our public works area, one of our things that you would have seen in our strategic plan is that we wanted to work to enhance the traffic flow, the safety, mitigate congestion, improve traffic control throughout the community as indicated by our traffic study analyses. You know, one of the things we talk about is, I hear from a lot of people, the traffic is so bad downtown now. It's really gotten worse. And, you know, we did a study in 2019 before the pandemic, so it was, you know, not unusual circumstances, and we had done a traffic study 10 years before. And what's remarkable is the traffic was actually a little less than it was 10 years before, but for the margin of error, it's about the same. I think the difference is there's a perception that there's more traffic because most people who were complaining about it weren't here at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock during the week. They were downtown. And so that traffic congestion we have has always been there. It's just that there's a new perception because you're seeing it for the first time. But one of the, I think, most innovative programs that we've done is we've decided we're going to look at traffic holistically at our neighborhoods, and we started doing, I call it area by area analysis, and we started in our first ward in the area around the college. And Alderman Deuters, I think, was in charge of public affairs and safety when we started this, and we made some remarkable changes. We're trying to say, instead of people calling up saying, I want a stop sign, I want a crosswalk, is we're looking at it as an area of what should this traffic be so that it flows. And one of the unusual proposals was no more yield signs. And I know a lot of you are in favor of those yellow triangles, but it seemed kind of radical. But the idea is that people don't really stop at yield signs. You know, they pull up, they may not see that they're pedestrians or children who are trying to cross, and it really did not help the flow of traffic. So in that area, all those yield signs have been replaced, and if things go according to plan as we go down the road, we'll probably see less and less yellow and more red. But it's a very innovative way to look at how we do things here. So our 2024 budget includes $100,000 to start the next two areas of the city that we're going to look at. We've resurfaced York Road. You've probably seen this from Crestview to Grand. We've resurfaced, new landscaping, so it looks like a more attractive roadway. One of our goals is to make Elmhurst one of the, if not the most bikeable and walkable community in DuPage County. We put together from our Elmhurst Bicycle Club, some people said, you know, what can we do about this? We met with some aldermen. We came up with I don't know how it got the name, but it's now the Elmhurst Walk and Rollers Working Group. I thought it would be, you know, bikers and booters, but it came out a little differently. But the idea is to promote accessible biking, walking, running, mobility on the roadways, and this group is really a energetic, enthusiastic group that's going to help achieve that goal. In 2023, we completed the first phase of our update to our bike and pedestrian plan, and we're going to start implementing some of those things through the engineering things that we're going to be doing. It includes striping new bike lanes and looking at pedestrian and street crossings and improvements. One of the new programs, or I should say it's the end of a program, is that in 2018 we started replacing all of our standard street light bulbs. There were 6,600 lights. We got a $340,000 grant from ComEd, and we put in, I was up there on the top of the lift to do the ceremonial replacement of the last bulb and replace it with our LEDs. Which will save us $100,000 per year in electric costs, which means the payback for us will be in just 2 years. Another important public works area is stormwater. We used to be known as the city that floods. I think the last significant one was the Great Mayoral flood of 2013. Whatever. But you know, we've spent $50 million on 14 stormwater projects, and I remember Mayor DeCiani had first come in, and that was when we had the first 500-year storm. As I say, that makes me about 1,400 years old, because we've had 2 500-year storms and several 100-year storms. But we went out and we solved the problem, and we've spent a lot of money. We have been a leader in this area. When I talk to other mayors in DuPage County and those in Cook County to our east, they're looking to us to say, how did you do it? And we planned, we engineered it, we executed it, we worked with our parks, we worked with our schools, and we benefited 473 homes and businesses over the last 10 years. We are paying for it with $43 million in bonds. It has to be paid for. And our city council under Finance Chair Toludo led us through the idea that we have to increase our home rule sales tax a bit to pay for the difference, but it's important to keep our city strong and to pay for it now. This sales tax will generate $4 million a year, and it was very important to the council that will sunset in 10 years after everything is paid for. We've done, you'll hear that there's going to be a significant increase in water and sewer rates. And I want to explain that our water sewer, we do our own water processing. We buy it from DuPage County Water Commission, who buys it from the city. And so when you see a significant rate increase, it's not because we feel we want to get more money out of our residents. We're simply passing on the increased costs as it comes down the line. We run our own wastewater treatment plant. Some municipalities don't. Our average water main is 62 years old. Almost 30% of them were installed in 1920, about 25% in 1960s, which when you get to be my age, it didn't seem that long ago, but I realize it is. So about a third of them are past their life expectancy, and 2/3 of them will be past life expectancy by 2040. So we're going to be spending $5 million a year to maintain a 100-year replacement on this, and that's why we will, between those factors of their increased water and the need to replace them, and finally, there's a federal state requirement to remove phosphorus from all the water. It's going to impact all of us. That'll cost about $79 million. So it sounds like a lot of million, and it really is. And sometimes people compare our water rates to other municipalities. We're ahead of the game in terms of where we're going. Their water rates and sewer rates will increase just like ours. And the last thing I wanted to mention in this development or public works area is we still talk about a new train station. And the economy and the costs have been significantly impactful in that we were looking at a brand new $20 million train station. And in the time of just not many years that we've been looking at it, and we're about ready to go, it's probably about a $40 million train station. And the good news is we had about $18 million in grants, and now it's about $38 million, but the grants never quite seem to catch it. So The design is there. Our city manager is working on additional funding, and we hope to get that one off the ground. I want to talk a little bit about public safety. Public safety for our council is the #1 priority in keeping our residents safe. Our fire department just made it over 7,000 calls for service this year. I was at the New Year's Eve party at the fire station, and the chief was telling me, I don't know if we're going to make it. You know, I said, I'll go home and make a couple calls, you know. But they made it on their own, just over 7,000. We've been, and it won't sound like a big deal, but I'll explain. We're going to be fully staffed in our fire department by mid-2024. You know, it's interesting, firefighters work 24 hours on, and then they get 48 hours off, which, you know, is like, I thought, the greatest job in the world. I think Mike Copper, Dick Duford might tell you it still is. And you report to the station, I think it's 7 a.m., you stay overnight, and you get 2 days off. Every other day is a weekend, you know. Fire departments have had a hard time recruiting, and I was just at a meeting with some mayors yesterday, and they were comparing notes about how you get firefighters, because this generation, they don't want to do that. They want to be home. They want to work shifts. So when we compete in the market for firefighters, we're competing against all these other communities. And I think it's okay to say we were at Lombard. They said they had a test. They usually get 250 applicants. They had 25 show up for the last test. And of those 25, who applied, and when they got to the test, there were a few less than that showed up, and they said by the time we do the fiscal, and who's left, we will not necessarily even have enough to fill all the vacancies. We've been fortunate, and I would say that Elmhurst is a premier community, and I'll say the same comment under police, that it's an attractive place to work. We pay well, we equip well, and we train well. Now, I do want to reintroduce, we have a new fire chief, as was mentioned, and we have a new deputy chief, so Chief Dick Dufort and Deputy Chief Steve Reynolds. I think Reynolds must be new. He doesn't know he's supposed to stand up during that. Oh, he's at a meeting. Oh, all right. I'll take that comment out then. All right. I'm very proud to have these guys there. They bring a lot of experience. Dick he grew up here. He's been with the fire department for many years, and I feel like the relationship with our fire department and what they're achieving is really great. We talk about reimagining the fire department. We have very few structure fires these days. A lot of it's because our building codes and our fire prevention people are doing such a great job. We're looking at how we use our apparatus, our equipment, and how we run the department, and we're always re-examining that. Senator Glowiak called me last year and said that she had arranged for us to get an $850,000 grant for a new fire truck, and it turns out we need it. The fire trucks, they age, and they're very expensive, and that should just about cover it. This will be a state-of-the-art unit that we will expect later this year, early next year. You'll see on display out there some of the new equipment, and Teslas and electric vehicles have been in the news a lot. I say, they aren't getting the charge they need, but you'll see like there's a blanket out there that you throw over to put out the electrical fire. It's supposed to be soundproof. We were going to check it out by putting it over John Quigley, but I'm sorry, this isn't the Quigley roast. I got the wrong notes there. All right. Police, crime. This is what keeps me up. When Paul Vallis was a mayoral candidate for the city of Chicago, we were at a meeting. He goes, What's your big concern out in Elmhurst? And at the time I said, it's funny to say this, but the city has been so well run for so many years that everything's in great shape. The finances are in great shape. The council's working together. The schools are doing a great job. We have a great library, And I said, the one thing that keeps me up is something's going to happen someday where some resident gets hurt by a criminal element that comes from the outside, most likely. And there's really nothing we can do about it other than what we're doing. And we've had the number of high-speed chases. It used to be the lights went on and you pulled over. I'll make up a statistic. I think it's up like, Chief, what do you say, 80% up? He's going to go along with that. It's like people take off. The expressway's right there, and we're not going to go into a high-speed chase and risk property or personal injury. Oak Brook, you may remember, had a high-speed chase down 83, take a right turn, head east on St. Charles, clipped a school bus, fortunately, and crashed into a tree. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and when I saw the new Oak Brook mayor a couple of weeks later, I was like, And he goes, I know. So we're doing it the right way. Chief McLean, I introduced last year. He's been here, I believe it was September or October of last year. And I want to say that we couldn't have a better chief. When Chief Ruth passed away, I thought, I don't know how we're going to get someone that good, but Chief McLean is, I don't care if we opened it up and looked all over the state to find someone. That's not just my opinion, that's from talking to other chiefs. He's got the confidence of the city manager and the council, and that's important. We had 42,000 incidents last year, which is 6% more than 2022. More cases are being solved, more cases are being prosecuted. We had a 23% increase in criminal charges for both felony and misdemeanor cases. We swore in 3 new officers last week. Made me feel like I thought they were Boy Scout explorers, but they were actually, it's all a matter of perception. A couple of them right out of Elmhurst College, and we are attractive enough as a department that we are fully staffed for the first time. And I talked to other mayors, they're not there yet. It was a big topic yesterday. Our police officers are working 12-hour shifts, which that's kind of new. I thought, how sharp are you going to be after 10 hours? But it's been done in other places, and it gives them more time off to relax. In our December 4th meeting of the council, we were presented with Tier 1 accreditation by the Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program Council, ILEAP. This is an extensive process, a 2-day on-site inspection where trained officers from ILEAP come out. They interview our officers, they do ride-alongs, they look at our procedures, our evidence practices, they look at our records, they review our investigations, they talk to citizens, and we receive this accreditation. There are only 60 agencies in the state of Illinois that have done that. That's 5% of all Illinois police departments. So this is a tremendous achievement. It's tremendous recognition about our police and the work they're doing. So you could say I'm featuring the police today, but yeah. The Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists rated Elmhurst PD a top 10 police department in number 7 in total DUI arrests out of 800 agencies. This is a paid promotional announcement by Uber and Lyft. We have a crisis intervention in suicides. It's a big topic. We've had, I don't know if it hits the news always, we've had people walk in front of trains, we've had people jump off the top of a parking garage, and it doesn't help to close the top floor, because then we had an incident where someone was 1 floor below. Our crisis intervention team responded to that and was able to talk this young lady literally off the ledge and to grab her and save her. We are one, people talk about intervention. We have had a police social worker for years. They've provided services in 120 different cases. So ours is a crisis negotiation team. Lastly, well, not quite lastly, we invest not in more police officers, but in technology. We are a leader in the license plate reader, or LPR program. You can't come in or go out of Elmhurst without your car's picture being taken. And if a car is stolen in Chicago and they pass into Elmhurst, our police know that they're here and not to visit relatives. And we don't wait for something to happen. We go looking for that vehicle. And other municipalities are trying to emulate that program. Now, I hope it doesn't get too widespread because there are certain people we don't want to know about it, but I think this is a safe group. We, for the first time, have a drone. We could not afford a helicopter, so we got a mini helicopter. And, remarkably, a woman from Aurora and I, through DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference, took some lead in fighting in the state legislature because they didn't want these drones to be permissible where there are crowds. And after the Highland Park shooting, I thought, where would you need a drone the most, if not in a situation like where there's a festival or a parade, and the compromise was reached that they can be used except in political gatherings because there might be facial recognition. And I don't care where you are on the political spectrum, but when Ron DeSantis came to town, we were nervous because there's the potential, and when I say there were literally people on both sides, I mean on both sides of York, for and against. And without the ability to use a drone, it's taking away a valuable tool. And Chief McLean had said to me as this legislation was going through that there couldn't be a more important tool for law enforcement. So we have that. We've had successes. One of the other technologies is instead of chasing people who are fleeing, we have spike strips to deflate the tires. We hesitated to use them because the police officer would have to be standing on the side of the road and throw the strip out and puts the officer in danger. Now it's automated. I saw a little clip up, you push a button, and I hope they have the warranty discount tires there because it does stop the car. We promoted 2 new sergeants, 4 new detectives this year. We just added a second canine team, a Dutch Shepherd named Tommy. We had a little hard time getting him to raise his right paw to get him sworn in, but he's good now. Hey, I know. And lastly, we're looking at a new police station, and people say it looks great, but I've had all the aldermen here tour the police station, and I think there's agreement that it was built in 1987, not because it was a remarkable, great design, but because the marching orders were, here's how much money we have. There was no police architect, and it was just built, and the space has a lot of safety defects. I looked at Glen Ellen, and I thought, how do they afford this brand new police station? It could cost like $50 million. Lombard told me they're building one too, and I thought, okay, I don't know how they pay for it, but it's something we have to do. And one of the other benefits that came up as I was thinking about it was the chief and one of the chiefs was saying, not ours, was saying, as we're attracting new younger officers, one of the factors they look at is like, who's got a nice police station? I don't know if the doctors are any better at the new Elmhurst Hospital than the old one, but they sure like going to work there better, and it looks like a better place to work. So a lot of good stuff for our police department. Gee, I feel like John Quigley going a little long here. All right. So I think you can go back to Mayor Marcucci, who would tell you you have to keep going. If you don't keep the development going, if you don't keep growing, you're going to die. And we have had 105 permits for construction through October 4th, valued at $817 million, 74 new homes. I did a little research myself, and you could get a home in Elmhurst for $300,000 or $3 million. So there's a lot of diversity of what's out there. Houses are selling in about 60 days. As I say, they are keeping their value, and it's because we are Elmhurst. It's an issue, I think, of affordability. A lot of people say, I hope my kids will move here. They can't afford it. We have people who want to downsize. There aren't a whole lot of ranches out there that you can downsize and pay that $300,000 for. I think we're going to be the biggest boon to Villa Park because that's where people wind up. It's sort of becoming next door to Elmhurst. We're mindful of that, and we look at affordable housing in that manner in terms of where people can downsize and stay, where they can start out. In terms of the commercial side, I've looked at comparisons of our statistics versus DuPage County. We have a retail vacancy rate of 2%, 1% in city center. DuPage, 7.5%. Our industrial park, our business park, 0.6%. DuPage County, 5.85%. And big factor, location. Just the difference from being in Elmhurst versus Wheaton, that travel to the highway, to the airport. Office space, we have a 5.6% vacancy rate. DuPage, 16.3%. It's a desirable place. Downtown, as you see, we have a number of new restaurants. I talked to the new guys at Modern Plate, 2 Greek guys opening an American restaurant. I go, what we need is 2 American guys opening a Greek restaurant. 38 outdoor dining facilities we had last summer. I tell you, when I walk through downtown, as I do many times, it's like walking through a resort town. All the people outside, the lights, the new LED lights, you can keep them up all year. It looks great, very attractive. Unfortunately, we don't have land for amenities like the ones that everyone wants. A hockey rink, a sports complex. We're kind of landlocked. Those are things that we'll let the Park District struggle with. Communications is one of our goals in our plan. And, we hired a communication director shortly after the Mayoral flood. We've had incidents where I think that we're looking like, well, how do we get the word out? I was surprised that we had to call former Mayor DeCiani's company to get the word. And I'm always happy to give business to someone else, but we should have the capability to get the word out. And I'll talk about that in a minute. It was the city manager or the mayor writing the text of what has to go out. And people want to know in this community what's going on. And if you look at social media, if the facts aren't there, they'll make them up. So it's better for us to get them out. We had a water main break in South Elmhurst last summer, and we thought we got to get the word out. Is the water drinkable or not? Usually, if it's a limited area, we go to door and hang a red tag on the door, don't drink this water, which I'm not sure is the best way. A lot of people get in their car, they go out the garage, they may not see their front door for a week. But we had a hard time getting it out. We finally got help from the county to use their alert system, but we realized the Code Red platform that we had was not able to pinpoint areas. So we have a new program called Alerts. I hope you'll go on our website and look at it. You can sign up for what level of contact you want. We can target areas. We can target only emergencies or whatever things that you want to know. You can provide additional contact information. You can opt out of the program. You'll get it on your phone, on your email, on your mobile phone, whatever you want. Sometimes we have a weekly newsletter. We have 5 websites, police, fire, city. We have our front porch newsletter. And we have a new website, too. I think a lot of aldermen shared the view, like, if we can't find stuff on the website, how are you going to find it? So it's a new design. We continue to work on it. And we want our residents to know that when there's something you want to know, our website is the source of information. So we had a problem with low gas pressure in the Jefferson School area. Alderman Nardini knows. And go to our website. That's where you're going to find the information. So we're going to continue to invest in communications. Let me go a little faster. Some departments. Our museum continues to amaze and impress. It's a city department. We're one of the few municipalities that has its own museum. We closed out the year with 3 blockbuster shows. The last one is now Lost Chicago Department Stores, which, if you're of age, you can know the names Marshall Fields, Carson Peary, Scott Goldblatt's, Montgomery Wards. Tremendous. There's lines waiting to get in. 70% of the attendees are first-time visitors, mostly from outside of Elmhurst. They'll come in, 74%, they shopped or dined here. It's good for our business community. So we've got good things going there. Mary Beth Harper continues to lead the library. They've just completed their completed their 5-year strategic plan. Everyone's doing planning. Just celebrated the 20th anniversary of the new building. And I remember, I think it was maybe the 10th or the 15th, I was standing next to Marcucci, and he said, looked around the room, he goes, boy, a lot of these people were the ones who were saying what a jerk I was for, promoting this library, and now here we are all eating cake and drinking coffee together. It is a jewel of our town. It's great. 5-star status, which is, a highly sought-after designation for the 6th year in a row. School District 205, Athena Arbonitis is here. I think I saw her. I remember shaking someone's hand that looked like her. Again, all the schools in 205 receive the top 2 state Board of Education summative designations of either exemplary or commendable. There have been a modernization of facilities through referenda. They completed and opened the new Lincoln Elementary School, and Fisher, I think, is open now too. Media centers and other improvements at Jefferson, Jackson, and Fisher, and I think 6 new classrooms at Fisher as well. It was getting a little bit commonplace to congratulate all of the athletic teams that we saw come before the Elmhurst City Council. It's really amazing. Kevin DeGraff from the Park District, Jim Rogers, they're completing their strategic plan, Elevate Elmhurst Parks. Interviewed a lot of residents to see what they want, and I think you're going to be hearing some exciting things from them. Ben Allison Park Playground was updated, and there was cooperation between the city and the Park District to adjust the street parking on West Avenue to make sure that we had the crosswalks and that people were parking on the right side of the street so they didn't have to cross over. Elmhurst University, we continued to have a very good relationship with Troy Van Aken. U.S. News and World Report lists them in their college rankings as number 6 among the best regional colleges and university, number 1 in Illinois, number 7 as a best value school. They are groundbreaking at October for a new health science building, and construction will be underway and complete in 2024. You heard from Colin Daylaw, Elmhurst Hospital, then Edwards Elmhurst, then North Shore Edward Elmhurst, now Endeavor. Wow. A lot of business card printing going on there. Anyway, so a few additional thoughts. One of the things that was mentioned was mayors. My viewpoint, I should say, on volunteers. And Rich talked about the volunteers. We have 120 people serving on our 17 boards and commissions. In a way, I feel like I'm proud of that. I feel like there's been a little bit of decline in people getting involved in the community. Our service organizations struggle. The Kiwanis, the Rotary. We used to have a morning Rotary, an afternoon Rotary. And when you go to these organizations, you see they're smaller and older. And I think I attribute it to sports because we're so busy driving our children around, and I talk to my fellow council members who have children of that age. They're driving around and gotta go, I'd like to be there, but I gotta pick up and deliver, and I get it. I'm not saying I didn't do it with my kids, but I was mindful of the turnover on my block. It's really exciting, all these young families, and this woman said, this is great. Our kids will grow up together, they'll play together. I said, when they get to be about 8, the hockey kids will be over there, the basketball kids will be over here, and I hope people will drive around less, reinvest in our community, join our boards and commissions. We have done youth service awards and senior awards. We have a ceremony for each, and they're really touching because these are people who you read off what they did, particularly the seniors. There was one senior, he was spending 30 hours a week delivering food. And, you're on the city council, I'm an alderman, I'm the mayor, yeah. These people, they're not getting any public recognition. They're doing it solely to do some good for our community. And I hope others will take the no glory route, sign up, get involved. There's a lot of good things that happen in our community, and there are a lot of people doing that work, but there's always room for more. Challenges, I think Marcucci had economic development. DeCiani came in at the beginning of flooding. Morley got to live through the pandemic and part of the flooding. Mine, what's my big challenge? Migrant buses. I'm not going to go too deep on it, but I will say it's been a challenge and it continues to be. But I put out a statement on it, after a lot of thought. We worked very closely with other mayors in DuPage, with our county board, and the county's been very helpful in coordinating everything. We're doing the right thing. We don't need to pass an ordinance. The buses arrive, we meet the buses, we make sure everyone's safe. They are on the trains going to the landing center, and we want to protect the community, but we want to protect the people who are arriving and in transit. If things change, we will change. We always have a plan, and we have a plan now, and we will continue to execute that plan. It's important that we keep the national politics and the polarization that exists out of our local government. Many years ago, I think in Marcucci's era, they had parties that ran. I'm very pleased to know that we run as aldermen because you go out there and you knock on doors and you convince the community that you are the right person for that job. We don't have to have slates. Some communities respond by having caucuses, or caucus, whatever the word is. Maybe it's a new word, but where people get together and pick who's going to be it. We do it a very good way. We're in a good state right now of how we do it. People have their own political thoughts, but it never shows up on the dais at a council meeting. And I think it's important that we as a council, that the school boards, the park boards, continue to respect the different opinions. I kind of feel I'm always in the middle of the road. It's a little dangerous. That's where roadkill occurs. But it's a good place from which to govern. Our aldermen are very hardworking. We have probably one of the hardest working councils. I will tell you, when I talk to other mayors, I talked to the mayor of Elmwood Park, and he said, "How'd your meeting go?" I go, "Oh, we had a good one. It was 25 minutes. He goes, "Ours are 13. He goes, "And we only meet once a month." Well, our aldermen are doing their job. They're participating. They're talking to their residents. They're coming up with ideas. We're debating things, and we're making good decisions. We have 14 aldermen. It's hard to communicate totally effectively, so we have to do it in smaller groups and work with each other, and we're doing that. I want to commend the cooperation that we have in Elmhurst between the city, the schools, the park, the university, the hospital. Very good working relationships all across the board. The press role is fading a bit, Editor Longfellow, in that we only have one paper. Social media, and the press is supposed to give some objectivity. I look at social media, which I get it, it's here, but sometimes I feel that I always feel it's important for the residents to know that all the information that you read on social media isn't all the information. When I see criticism of what the council's doing, it's coming from a bit of ignorance. I don't mean that in the insulting way, but in the factual way that you may not have all of the facts. So I don't weigh in on social media, and people say, "Why don't you?" I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, frankly. Like, our official positions are announced at the council meeting and on our website. So I want to tell you it's been an honor to serve as your mayor and with our council. Sometimes I feel I put in a lot of time. I keep track of my time like I do in my law practice. It's about 30 hours a week, and sometimes I don't get back to people, and I apologize for that. But I will say the state of the city is excellent. Now, that could be the conclusion, but I did write and ask ChatGPT to write a State of the City address for the city of Elmhurst. And it was, kind of generic, but in closing, the state of the city of Elmhurst is strong and full of promise. As we move forward, let us embrace the challenges and opportunities that come our way. Together, we can continue to make Elmhurst a place we are proud to call home, a city that thrives, cares for its residents, and remains a beacon of progress and unity. Thank you, and may Elmhurst continue to flourish in the years to come. Signed, GPT. Thank you very much.
You've convinced the mayor to take a few questions. Raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll see if we can get it answered.
Yeah, we'll spend 5 minutes on questions, but I do want to say I was remiss of all the people who I forgot to acknowledge is our city council, and I will ask the alderman to please stand and be recognized. All right, we'll do 5 minutes of questions. And it could be one question with a 5-minute answer. It's up to you.
Mr. Mayor, a couple residents called the chamber to ask about the fees related to doing stormwater projects that the council recently approved. Can you speak to that?
Yes, we've increased a number of fees to address the situation. And as I was saying in my remarks, we're taking it head on. We're trying to spread the cost over, not just biting it off this year, but through bonds and through fees that will go for 10 years so that the burden falls upon people now and in the future. There are fees that have to be, we had to find a way to do it. There's no way around it. And I think that I'm confident that the council's adopted the best way to approach that. All right. All right. Oh, wait, there's one over here.
I'm having a hard time understanding about a $40 million train station. Maybe there's costs that I don't see.
The question was, he's having a hard time understanding a $40 million train station. Well, I got to tell you, we have bid it out, we have consultants, and that is what it costs. And it was getting to the point where we were saying, if the gap were $7 or $8 million, I'm not sure that the council would support a new train station. Now, the grants are keeping us probably about $2 million away from the goal of doing that. We are the busiest metro station on the West Line and one of, I think, the 5 busiest metro stations in the entire Chicago metropolitan area. I was born in the 50s, and those gray chairs remind me of the one I had in my living room. So that train station is tired. It gets packed. Now, I understand demand is down now, but at a certain point, the investment has to be made. Unfortunately, in any project you look at, public or even private, the cost of materials and labor and the rate to borrow capital to do it have skyrocketed. Now we're hopeful that as the economy goes forward, the interest rates will come down and maybe the cost will stabilize, but that's a very good question. All right. Oh, Mayor DeCiani.
Are there any opportunities to possibly redevelop City Hall and do a combined police station with a new City Hall?
You know,
Business district back on the tax rolls?
that was an idea that we talked about because the thinking, and again, some things defy logic. The thinking was, well, if we're doing a new police station, and if we put, either one above the other and did a new city hall, and let's say a new police station was $50 million, but to add the city hall would be $60 million, and then we could take the city hall existing site and turn it into a productive residential use, perhaps, was the idea that we would do that. Remarkably, the consultants came back and said it would be, I think it was at that time, 40 million for a new police station and 80 if you wanted to add a city hall. So there was virtually no savings. City Hall, I learned, was not built to be a city hall, was repurposed. It's older than a lot of other city halls, but one of the biggest demands on City Hall is storage space, record storage, which is, we don't really need that anymore, so it serves our purposes. So there's no current intent to replace City Hall, but we will look at moving forward on the police station. Thank you. Mr. Benson.
Mr. Mayor, it's not the city's financial responsibility, but you are probably a great way to get some help. I live on the north side of town, and anywhere in Elmhurst is a reflection to the rest of the community. If I drive from here back up to my house, and actually I had to get all the way up to 290, and I was driving on Route 83, the lasting efforts that were built 20, 30, 40 years ago of the concrete embankments between North Avenue and 290, they're collapsing, they're crumbling, the rebar is coming out. It just looks poor. Down here in Elmhurst, where we have the great community bank, if I leave here and take a round turn and go north, it just doesn't look like I was on the North Shore or if I were in certain suburbs. And again, that's not the city maintaining Route 83, it's the state.
That's correct.
Send a message that this looks poor.
Well, that is why I invited State Representative Jen Laddish Douglas. And I guarantee you she will get an answer. All right, any last question? All right, thank you very much.
One last thing, there was a raffle that many of you entered right here, and the winner is Adam Hodge. So Adam, you can come up and collect this. Thank you all for being here this morning, and have a great day.